Greetings, car fanatics. Today I'm going to talk to you about my 2010 911 Carrera S. I'm going to highlight the differences between the Gen 2 and the Gen 1 911s. I'll also talk to you about the options my car has and what you should look for if you're interested in purchasing one. And lastly, I'll talk about the practicality of living with a 911. The exterior changes from the Gen 1 to the Gen 2 car are pretty subtle. Starting with the front, we have a much more modern bumper with LED daytime running lights. Here's how they look when they're on. To match the LED lights in the front, the Gen 2 car gets LED tail lights in the back. It looks much more modern than the tail lights on the Gen 1, and the shape is more contoured to the body. The Gen 2 car also gets a new bumper. On my car, I took plastic dip and painted the rear valence black to give it a more aggressive look. I think the new LED taillights combined with the bumper give the Gen 2 a much more modern look over the Gen 1 car. Finally, I'm going to talk about the most important improvement in the Gen 2, and that's the motor. The motor is an all-new direct fuel injection motor. Output on the Carrera S goes from 355 horsepower to 385 horsepower. It gets better fuel economy than the previous generation and has proven to be extremely reliable. This engine is still being used on the latest generation of 911s. Let's see how the new motor sounds. There are two other performance improvements on the Gen 2 to point out. First, the suspension is revised. It's much more refined when you're driving it normally, and when you push it hard, the car is more stable than the Gen 1 car. Additionally, you have bigger brakes in the front and in the back, along with a new wheel design. Now I'm going to show you guys the interior of the 911 Gen 2. Not a lot of changes over the Gen 1 car, but I do want to point a few things out. First, you'll notice that the key is to the left of the steering wheel. It's one of those quirks that makes a Porsche unique. Let's talk about the seats for a moment. My car has the Power Comfort seats. This gives it multi-way electronic adjustment along with driver's side memory. And why am I talking about the seats? It's extremely important to select the right seat because depending on your size, certain types of seats are going to be more comfortable than others, and the seats actually play a big role in the overall driving experience. When trying to find the 911 with the right options, you can quickly see if a 911 has the options you want by taking a look at the center console. The first option I'm going to point out is the Pcm suspension. This comes standard on the Carrera S, but is optional on the Carrera model. And what this does is it actually stiffens the suspension. So you can go from having a comfort suspension mode when you're driving normally to a stiffer setup when you're pushing your car. The center console will also have buttons for other options. My car has heated seats, so that's this button here. If I were to have the ventilated seats, you would see an additional button over here. The biggest interior update on the Gen 2 is the new Pcm system. You have a touch screen display, and if you have the navigation option, that's going to be included on the car. The interface is much easier to use than the previous model, and the maps and the functionality is much better. Additionally, the Gen 2 has a Bluetooth option and an option to plug in an iPod to your car. Now I'm going to show you guys the storage in a 911. I want to show you that this is actually a pretty practical car. In the trunk up front, you can actually fit a decent amount of stuff here. I fit a full-size cooler in here, not a problem at all. You also have a decent amount of storage space inside the car. While the seats aren't so great for passengers, they do fold down to give you extra luggage capacity. Well, car fanatics, this is all I have for you guys this week. If you'd like to see me drive this car, give the video a thumbs up and I'll get working on that next video. And lastly, subscribe to my channel for more videos. Thanks a lot. See you guys next week.